So U.S. President Donald Trump says Iran wants to make a deal, but Iranian officials have denied there were negotiations. For more on this, we're joined today by Moamen Gouda, professor of Middle East economics at Hankuk University of Foreign Studies. Professor Gouda, thanks for coming on today.
My pleasure.
So President Trump has extended his deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, saying the United States will hold off striking power plants in the country for 5 days. What does this suggest about U.S. strategy?
Actually, it shows that there are, in my opinion, enormous economic pressures that President Trump is considering. Definitely the rise in oil prices everywhere, and especially for the U.S. citizens and for his voters. I think this initiates some major concerns with President Trump. So any more strikes, any more escalation in conflict, I think this will even raise the prices even more. And I think U.S. is really, very considerate about this. Globally, global economy and global inflation rates are booming. So it's really one very big concern. This is one thing. The second thing is that it's not really clear what President Trump is actually asking, to be honest. The idea that the Strait of Hormuz is closed, well, officially, it's not really closed, right? Iran is arguing that it's not really closed, it's not officially closed. We didn't declare it's closed. So the end game is still not really clear. At any moment in time, President Trump can say, actually, it's open, it's working fine, but we're not really sure about it. So the problem is that with all this escalation and with all this conflict, we don't have a clear end goals. Even with the small footsteps towards that end goal, if there is any end goal, we are not really sure how this works. So I think this raises many concerns, and this raises many issues that we need to consider in the next few days. We'll see how this proves to be working or not.
Right. And in response to Trump's 48-hour ultimatum, Iran threatened to hit U.S.-owned energy facilities across the Middle East if Washington attacks its power plants. So how is Iran trying to shape the course of this war?
I think Iran, it's like, for Iran now, it's do or die. They don't have any other chance. They don't have any other ultimatum. This is the end of their regime. So they are doing their best to remain in power. We have also to consider that Iran also have escalated and have said that they can actually attack desalination water stations in Gulf countries. We have to remember that Bahrain and Kuwait, for instance, 100% of their water comes from this desalination stations. So this is really very, very dangerous. And we are talking here about major war happening in the Middle East, a major escalation. Iran, by waging more problems and having this kind of escalation, I think it knows this is also, the tides are not in its favor. And they are doing their best to make everybody suffer because of that. So far, of course, this is a very strategic game, because at the end of the day, this global pressure, global economic pressure that we're all suffering from will be a major concern and major, I would say, determinant of U.S.-Israel next steps in this conflict. Because if we have more economic problems, I think U.S. and Israel will consider this, especially for their constituencies, for their voters in Israel and for the U.S. So I think Iran is trying to play this, and it's still not clear how this is going to end. But so far it's clear that Iran is now in a very dire situation and a very stressful situation.
Right, and the situation is also very serious in Lebanon, where more than 1,000 people have been killed there by Israeli strikes and more than 1 million people have been displaced. Is Israel preparing for a large-scale ground invasion of Lebanon?
Thank you so much for this question. This is something actually that's not really covered a lot in the media, I have to say. So thank you for pointing this out. I think over 1 million people were relocated in Lebanon. They are moving away from also conflict and escalation and so on. So this is a major concern also in the Middle East. Regarding your question, to be honest with you, it's very hard to know for sure But one thing I know for sure, one thing that has been promised by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, that he is reshaping the Middle East. And actually, he's doing it. He's reshaping the Middle East right now. So this is why we have to take what Israel's Prime Minister words. We have to take this very seriously. I think Israel will seize the moment to reshape the Middle East, to make its best out of this moment. It's a really favorable time for Israel with the presence of President Trump in power in U.S. So I think Netanyahu will definitely use this chance, seize the moment to reshape everything and to make Israel reach its best, I would say, best secure dominance so far. So in my point of view, my humble opinion, I think this will happen. I think Prime Minister Netanyahu is very smart, and he will do his best to secure Israeli interests for a long time.
I see. And the war is now already in its fourth week, right? Some say it won't produce a decisive victory for either side. What's your take on this? How do you think this conflict might end?
Yeah, it's very hard, actually. It's very hard. Actually, when we are, tracking President Trump's talks and speeches and so on, it's even very hard to know exactly what's his end game, right? So his speech and his remarks are sometimes very contradictory. On the one hand, he's talking about like destroying Iran, destroying the regime, killing the Ayatollah, toppling the regime. And then the second time, and then after a few days, we're talking here about negotiations, or peace negotiations. That means he's really accepting the regime, and he's accepting the authority of whatever Mujtaba Khamenei is, if he still exists, if he's still alive. So it's really very contradicting, and it's very hard for anybody to know what really happens behind the curtains. One thing that's I think we have to be sure about is that this war is going to end by the words of President Trump. That's it. This is the only thing. And whatever he declares, we will take it as de facto. So this raises a major concern, because President Trump is always changing his speeches and attitude. So we will have to wait and see, but it's really very hectic and very chaotic in the Middle East. And I hope this conflict ends soon, and I hope things settle soon, and we have more secure and more peace in the region in the coming few weeks, hopefully.
Right. We'll have to see how that goes. All right, Professor Gouda, thank you so much for your time and insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.